Hi there. That evening, everything changed. When Caitlin's husband happened to pick up her phone and saw a message from a stranger. Your secrets are no longer just your own. Their familiar world collapsed in an instant. Beneath the smooth surface of family life, the sweet morning smiles and shared dinners, there was a secret that could destroy everything. But before you get comfortable, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments which city you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. I love seeing where everyone is joining from. Now, get cozy. We're about to begin. Caitlin had always considered herself a woman who knew what she wanted. At 28, she had everything that seemed to matter. A loving husband, a stable job, and a small cozy house in a quiet American suburb. Yet, over the past year, she felt something was missing. A spark, an excitement, or perhaps simply a change. She looked at herself in the mirror one sunny morning, brushing her long, light blonde hair over her shoulder, and realized she craved something new. Physically, Caitlin was striking. She had a slender yet curvy figure, with graceful lines at her waist and hips, and a delicate natural fullness to her breasts. A comfortable size that filled her lacy, powder blue bra perfectly. Her toned legs and rounded bottom, usually hidden beneath office skirts or jeans, looked almost athletic now that she wore leggings more often. Today, she chose a fitted pair of dark grey leggings and a short white crop top, the fabric hinting at the soft lace underneath. She admired how the outfit hugged her figure and decided, with a flutter in her chest, that today she would finally join the local gym. Her husband, John, was still asleep. John was 30, handsome in a classic way. Dark, slightly wavy hair, deep blue eyes, and the kind of athletic build that comes from years of playing sports. Their marriage was steady, even comforting, but routine. She loved him, she truly did. But something in her longed for unpredictability. As she entered the gym that afternoon, she felt a wave of excitement and nervousness. The gym was modern, filled with light, with a row of mirrors reflecting groups of fit young people stretching and chatting. Caitlin noticed a few women her age and older, each with her own unique look. One caught her eye. Stephanie, a brunette with a sleek short bob, around 26, lean with defined legs and a high, perky bust. Stephanie wore bright pink shorts and a black sports bra, revealing a flash of black lace beneath when she reached for her water bottle. Another woman, with long red hair tied in a high ponytail and pale, freckled skin, wore fitted black leggings and a matching top with mesh cutouts. Both looked comfortable, beautiful, and Caitlin realized confident. She signed up and was introduced to Alex, her new personal trainer. Alex was taller than most men she knew, at least 6'3", with broad shoulders and the kind of physique that came from years of dedication to fitness. His skin was lightly tanned, his jaw defined, and his greenish eyes sparkled with charm. His hair was short, dark, and just a bit tousled, as if he never bothered to tame it. His smile, however, was what truly caught Caitlin's attention. Easy, genuine, and magnetic. "Welcome, Caitlin," Alex said, his voice low and reassuring. "Ready to get started?" As they walked through her first workout, Alex was attentive without being overbearing. His hands guided her form, adjusting her shoulders during squats, correcting her posture during stretches. With every light touch, she felt an unexpected rush. She glanced in the mirror, catching his eyes lingering a second too long on her reflection. She blushed, unsure if she was reading too much into it. After the session, Caitlin found herself lingering in the locker room, her heart beating faster than after any treadmill run. She caught her own gaze in the mirror again, this time noticing the faint flush across her cheeks and the bright glimmer in her eyes. She knew something had shifted inside her. Something subtle but powerful. The days went by and Caitlin's excitement for the gym grew. She chose her outfits with more care, often favoring leggings that accentuated her curves and lacy bras in soft pinks or pale blues beneath snug tops. She caught the admiring glances of others, especially Alex, and she relished the feeling. One evening, after a particularly intense session, Alex stood behind Caitlin as she stretched. His hands brushed lightly along her back, steadying her as she bent forward. The contact sent a shiver up her spine. Their eyes met in the mirror. A silent tension hung between them, an electric promise of something more. Alex's hand lingered a fraction longer than necessary on her waist, his fingers pressing gently against the curve of her hip. Caitlin let herself savor the sensation, her breath coming a little quicker. When she got home that night, John was waiting with dinner. Caitlin sat across from him, smiling, feeling more alive than she had in months. She knew she was changing, and though she tried to ignore the flutter in her stomach whenever she thought about Alex, she could not help but wonder where this new adventure would lead. The next few weeks brought a subtle transformation in Caitlin's world. Her routine shifted as she started frequenting the gym more often. Every other day, sometimes every day if she could find an excuse. She felt drawn to that place, to the familiar thrum of pop music, the scent of clean sweat, and the comforting feeling of sore muscles. But most of all, she was drawn to Alex. Their sessions quickly became the highlight of Caitlin's day. She started to anticipate his texts, confirming their training times. She caught herself smiling at her phone in the evenings when his messages popped up. Sometimes his notes were simple. "See you tomorrow." But occasionally he would add a teasing line. "Don't be late. I know you only come for the stretches." Those moments left her blushing in the kitchen, while John, oblivious, watched television nearby. Alex's attention wasn't lost on others at the gym. Stephanie, with her short brunette hair and athletic build, became a familiar face and sometimes joined their group sessions. She was friendly, talkative, and always joked about the perks of having the hottest trainer in town. Yet, her eyes lingered on Caitlin with a hint of curiosity. One afternoon, Stephanie winked at her and whispered, "Watch out for him. He's got a way with women, you know." Caitlin just smiled, her heart pounding. She couldn't deny the way Alex made her feel. More alive, more noticed, more desirable. Her gym outfits reflected this new confidence. Today, she wore pale lavender leggings and a cream-colored ribbed crop top. Her soft, lacy pink bra showed a delicate outline beneath, and she found herself walking with a subtle sway, acutely aware of her body's appeal. It was not long before she met Emma, another regular at the gym. Emma was a striking woman, 29, with vivid red hair, cascading in a ponytail, and a sprinkle of freckles across her cheeks and shoulders. She was tall, with long legs and an elegant frame, favoring black sportswear with mesh details and seamless dark-colored bras that accentuated her graceful shape. They hit it off instantly, chatting between sets and sharing water breaks. Emma was lively, a little mischievous, quickly became both a confidant and a distraction. If Stephanie was open about her flirty jokes, Emma was even more daring. "You and Alex make a cute pair," she teased once, flashing her white teeth. Caitlin laughed, but deep inside, she wondered if it was so obvious. As the days passed, Caitlin started hiding her phone from John more often, locking her screen as soon as she felt his gaze. She became adept at inventing small lies. An extra set at the gym, a coffee with Emma, errands she simply had to run. She had never been a dishonest person, but the thrill of keeping a secret, of having something just for herself, was intoxicating. The connection between Caitlin and Alex grew with every session. They spoke more freely now, exchanging stories about their lives, their dreams, the small frustrations and pleasures of everyday existence. There was a warmth in their conversations, a growing intimacy that made each interaction feel charged. One Thursday evening, the gym was nearly empty. Alex suggested an individual stretching session after their workout. In the quiet studio, he sat behind Caitlin, guiding her into a deep stretch. His hands rested lightly on her shoulders, his breath warm against her neck. Slowly, his fingers traced down her arms, steadying her. Caitlin's heartbeat quickened as his touch lingered. His palms pressed gently to her waist. The silence between them grew thick, electric. Alex's voice dropped to a whisper. "You're doing great," he said, his lips close to her ear. Caitlin could feel the heat radiating from his body, the strength in his hands as he helped her hold the position. Their eyes met in the mirror. Her cheeks were flushed, her eyes wide, caught between fear and longing. He squeezed her hand reassuringly, his touch sending a thrill through her. For a moment, time stood still, and the world outside the studio faded away. That night, Caitlin barely remembered the drive home. Her mind raced with images of Alex's hands, the tension between them, the dangerous excitement she felt every time they were alone. As the gym became her second home, she realized the changes in herself. She noticed how heads turned when she entered, the confidence in her walk, the new light in her eyes, the subtle curve of her hips in her leggings. Even John remarked, "You look different lately. Happier. Is it the gym?" Caitlin only smiled, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Yet, the thrill of her secret also brought anxiety. She felt watched, even when she knew she was alone. Emma, sharp-eyed and always observing, occasionally asked pointed questions. "So, what's going on with you and Alex?" she prodded one day. Caitlin laughed it off, but she felt exposed, as if her desires were written plainly on her skin. Her phone became her lifeline, filled with hidden texts and small digital flirts. She and Alex started exchanging more personal messages. Photos of their dinners, playlists, inside jokes. She knew she was crossing a line, but she couldn't stop herself. The secrecy was part of the allure. During one quiet evening at the gym, Alex pulled Caitlin aside after class. They slipped into the staff lounge, where the hum of the air conditioner drowned out the noise from the main hall. Alex closed the door behind them and leaned in, his hand resting on her lower back. The air between them crackled with unspoken promises. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then, Alex's lips brushed Caitlin's cheek, soft, testing, as if asking permission. She closed her eyes, letting herself fall into the sensation. His hands moved up her sides, fingertips tracing the line of her sports bra beneath her shirt. The touch was gentle, barely there. But Caitlin's body responded instantly. She leaned into him, feeling the firm press of his chest against her back. Alex's voice was a murmur. "You feel so good, Caitlin." She smiled, breathless, her skin tingling with anticipation. The next morning, Caitlin awoke to a sense of possibility and dread. She was teetering on the edge of something forbidden, a secret world that belonged only to her and Alex. Every text, every glance, every touch held a double meaning. The risk was real, and so was the excitement. She knew she was dancing on a knife's edge, but for the first time in a long while, Caitlin felt truly alive. Caitlin's new life felt exhilarating and dangerous, as if she were balancing on a narrow ledge above the familiar ground of her old existence. The thrill of secrecy made her heart race, but lately, an undercurrent of unease had started to creep in. She wondered if John could sense the change. He had become more observant, glancing at her phone when it buzzed, asking what time she'd be home, noticing when she took extra care with her hair or makeup. One evening, as Caitlin dressed for the gym, John entered their bedroom, watching her. She wore sky blue leggings that hugged her hips, a white crop tank that revealed a sliver of midriff, and beneath it, a powder pink bralette with delicate lace edges. She caught his eyes flicking downward and smiled. "What? Do I look okay?" He hesitated, his brow furrowing. "You look great. You've been spending a lot of time at the gym, huh?" Caitlin shrugged lightly. "It just makes me feel good. I like the energy there, and Emma's fun to talk to." John smiled, but the tension lingered in the air. For the first time, Caitlin felt a pang of guilt. But the thought vanished the moment she stepped into the gym's bright, busy atmosphere and saw Alex's familiar grin. That night, the gym was quieter than usual. Caitlin spotted Stephanie at the front desk, laughing with a handsome young man she didn't recognize. Emma waved from the free weights area, her fiery red hair catching the light as she chatted with a group of regulars. The new employee, Jessica, caught Caitlin's attention. Jessica was petite, with platinum blonde hair in a messy bun, large brown eyes, and a playful, infectious smile. She wore tight black leggings and a neon yellow sports bra, her petite figure accentuated by every move. When Alex walked past, Jessica reached out and touched his arm, laughing at something he whispered. Caitlin felt a jolt of something sharp, jealousy, hot and unfamiliar. She tried to ignore it, but her eyes kept drifting to Jessica and Alex. The sight of Jessica's hand lingering on his shoulder made Caitlin's stomach tighten. Her session with Alex that evening was different. There was a tension between them that had not been there before. Alex seemed distracted, checking his phone between sets, occasionally glancing toward Jessica. Caitlin tried to focus, but her mind buzzed with questions and doubts. Did he flirt with everyone this way? Was she just another in a line of women drawn to his easy charm? After their workout, Alex suggested they stretch in the quieter yoga studio. Caitlin nodded, hoping for a return of their usual intimacy. As she settled onto the mat, Alex knelt behind her, his hands guiding her into a deep twist. His fingers pressed into the muscles along her spine, kneading gently. The room was quiet. The only sounds their synchronized breathing and the distant thud of a closing locker. Alex leaned closer, his voice low. "You seem distracted tonight." Caitlin's breath hitched. "I could ask you the same." There was a moment's hesitation, and then Alex's hands slid down to her waist, steadying her as she twisted. Their faces were close, so close she could feel his breath on her cheek. His lips brushed her neck, a feather-light caress, and Caitlin shivered. She turned to look at him, their eyes locking. Alex's hands tightened on her waist as he leaned in, his lips finding hers in a slow, deliberate kiss. His hand traced the line of her bralette beneath her tank, his thumb circling over the lace. Caitlin arched into his touch, the kiss deepening. Suddenly, the door swung open. A burst of laughter echoed into the room. Jessica and another staff member had entered, not noticing them at first. Caitlin jerked away, her heart pounding. Alex cleared his throat, pulling back, and Caitlin scrambled to adjust her tank top, heat rushing to her cheeks. Jessica's eyes flicked from Alex to Caitlin, a sly smile curling at her lips. "Sorry," Jessica said, her tone light, but her gaze sharp. "Didn't mean to interrupt." Alex stood, voice steady. "No problem. We were just finishing up." Jessica's eyes lingered a moment longer before she and the other staff member left. Caitlin could feel the blood roaring in her ears. Had they seen? Had Jessica guessed what was happening? Later, as she gathered her things in the locker room, Emma appeared at her side, her expression unusually serious. "Is everything okay?" she asked quietly. Caitlin tried to laugh it off. "Yeah, why?" Emma hesitated. "Just be careful, okay? People talk. And Alex, he's got a reputation." Caitlin forced a smile, but Emma's words echoed in her mind long after she left the gym. When she got home, John was waiting, arms folded. "You were gone a long time." Caitlin's heart pounded. "It was just a long workout. Emma and I stayed late." He looked at her for a long moment, then turned away. "Just checking." That night, Caitlin barely slept. She replayed every moment with Alex, word Emma had said, every look Jessica had given her. She wondered if she had made a mistake, if her secret was about to come crashing down. The next morning, as Caitlin checked her phone, she saw an anonymous message. "Be careful. Secrets do not stay hidden forever." Her hands trembled as she read it again and again. At the gym that evening, everything felt different. Alex was professional, distant, barely touching her as they worked through her routine. Jessica watched them from across the room, her expression unreadable. Emma was quiet, distracted, shooting Caitlin concerned glances. As Caitlin left the gym, Alex caught up to her in the parking lot. "Hey," he said softly. "I'm sorry about earlier. I do not want to get you into trouble." Caitlin nodded. her throat tight. I do not know what to do anymore. I feel like everyone is watching me. Alex hesitated, then stepped closer, his hand brushing her arm. You are not alone, he murmured, his eyes full of longing. In the shadow of the parked cars, he pressed his lips to hers. Gentle, urgent, full of need and apology. His hands cupped her face, fingers tracing the line of her jaw. For a moment, they were lost in each other, the rest of the world falling away. But as Caitlin drove home, her mind whirled with uncertainty. Someone knew. Someone was watching. The secret that had brought her so much excitement now felt dangerous, even frightening. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering who had sent the message, what Jessica had really seen, and whether she was willing to risk everything for a passion that burned so hot and fast. For the first time, Caitlin was not sure she had the answers. The world felt heavier for Caitlin after the message. Every glance in the gym, every hushed conversation, felt loaded with meaning. She could not shake the feeling of being watched. The next few days became a strange blur of habit and paranoia. She was still drawn to the gym and to Alex, but now she carried a new wariness, an awareness that nothing they did was truly private. The gym itself was unchanged. Mirrors still gleamed, the music still thumped, people still came and went, and the regulars moved through their routines with practiced energy. Stephanie remained bubbly and friendly, but even her wide smiles seemed a little more curious, as if she suspected that Caitlin's secret ran deeper than she let on. Jessica, the petite blonde, kept her distance. She was all business, making notes at the front desk, handing out towels with brisk efficiency. But Caitlin caught her watching her and Alex from across the gym. Her brown eyes narrowed ever so slightly. It was impossible to know if Jessica's look was judgment, suspicion, or something else entirely. Emma was the only one who tried to act as if everything was normal. She greeted Caitlin with her usual easy confidence. Her long red hair tied back in a ponytail, black leggings, and a cropped mesh top hugging her tall frame. But there was something different in her gaze too. A guardedness, perhaps even guilt. Caitlin wondered if Emma was hiding something herself. On the fourth day after the anonymous message, Caitlin found a small note slipped into the side pocket of her gym bag. You should be careful who you trust. Not everything is as it seems. Her hands trembled as she read the careful, almost childlike handwriting. Who was doing this? Who knew so much about her? Later that evening, she noticed a new man in the gym. A stranger, or so it seemed. He was around 30, with chestnut brown hair and sharp, observant blue eyes. His build was lean but strong, and he moved with an understated confidence, his gaze never lingering too long on anyone. Caitlin caught him watching her in the mirror. As she did lunges, a faint, almost knowing smile on his lips. She glanced away, unsettled. During her session, Alex kept things strictly professional. His touches were rare and impersonal, and his conversation was full of pauses. He seemed distracted, watching the new man too. Between sets, Caitlin caught Emma in the hallway and decided to test her. Have you seen that new guy? Caitlin asked, trying to sound casual. Emma's eyes flickered. Yeah, his name's Michael, I think. He's been asking a lot of questions. about trainers, about who comes here. There was a pause. Caitlin, is everything all right? Caitlin hesitated, torn between confiding and staying silent. Finally, she shook her head. Just tired, I guess. That night, she received another message, this time an image. It was a blurry photo taken through the gym's front window, showing her laughing with Alex at the juice bar. Secrets have a way of coming out, the caption read. Caitlin's nerves were stretched thin. She deleted the image, but it lingered in her mind. Who could be doing this? Was it Jessica? Michael? Emma? Someone else entirely? The next day, Alex suggested they meet in the sauna after her workout, claiming it was good for muscle recovery. The gym was nearly empty when Caitlin wrapped herself in a white towel and slipped into the humid, softly lit room. The air was thick with steam, blurring the lines between reality and fantasy. Alex was already waiting, his broad frame shadowed in the half-light. He smiled, a little sad, a little hopeful, and patted the wooden bench beside him. Caitlin sat, heart pounding. The silence in the sauna was intimate, broken only by the hiss of steam. Alex reached out, his hand settling on Caitlin's bare shoulder, his thumb drawing small circles along her damp skin. I wish things were simpler, he said quietly. His voice was barely above a whisper, but the intensity in his gaze made Caitlin shiver. She turned to face him, her towel slipping slightly. Alex's eyes traveled the line of her collarbone, his hand brushing her cheek. She leaned into his touch, their lips meeting softly. His other hand traced the curve of her back, fingertips gliding over her warm, dewy skin. The steam made every sensation sharper, every breath deeper. Caitlin's hand found his, her fingers lacing with his as their kiss deepened. Bodies close, yet still on the edge of restraint. The tension between them was as thick as the humid air, a secret burning in the shadows. Afterwards, Caitlin felt more vulnerable than ever. She left the gym quickly, barely saying goodbye to Alex. On her way home, she replayed everything, every word, every look, every hidden message. What if someone had followed her into the sauna? What if someone had taken a photo? The next morning, she met Emma for coffee. Emma seemed nervous, glancing around the cafe as if searching for someone. Emma, is there something you're not telling me? Caitlin asked suddenly, unable to hide the desperation in her voice. Emma paused, biting her lip. I don't want you to get hurt, Caitlin. I really don't. But you know something, don't you? Emma's green eyes softened. Sometimes people aren't who you think they are. That's all I'll say for now. Caitlin left the cafe with more questions than answers. Her life had become a maze of secrets and half-truths, and she felt as if someone was always one step ahead. Every time her phone buzzed, her heart leapt in fear. She was drawn to Alex, still desperate for his touch and his attention. But now there was a sharp edge to their romance, a risk that seemed to grow with every passing day. That evening, as Caitlin passed Michael by the treadmill, he nodded politely. She met his gaze, searching for a clue, but his expression was unreadable. Was he the one sending the messages? Was he watching her for someone else? She knew only one thing for certain. She could trust no one. And the truth was lurking just out of reach. The gym, once her escape, had become a labyrinth of shadows and secrets. Yet, beneath the anxiety, another emotion simmered: excitement. The mystery had become a part of the thrill. She was not just hiding an affair. She was at the heart of a secret she still did not understand. The pressure of secrets was mounting, and Caitlin could feel it with every step she took. Her routine had become an elaborate dance, dodging questions at home, hiding her phone, glancing over her shoulder in the gym. The rush that had once made her feel alive now felt tinged with dread, like the thrill of standing too close to a cliff's edge. John grew more attentive in ways she was not used to. He started calling her just before she would leave the gym, asking if she needed a ride, if she wanted to go out to dinner. His eyes lingered on her longer, sometimes with warmth, sometimes with suspicion. One night, as they sat on the couch, watching television, he reached over and took her hand, studying her fingers. "Are you happy, Caitlin?" he asked, his voice gentle but searching. She looked away. "Of course I am. Why do you ask?" He squeezed her hand. "You seem far away lately." "I just want you to know I notice." Caitlin offered him a small apologetic smile and squeezed back, but her heart thudded painfully. The gym felt different too. There were whispers, sidelong glances. Jessica was pointedly polite, her smiles tight. Emma was supportive, but a little more distant. Michael's presence seemed constant, always lurking at the edge of her vision. He chatted with Jessica at the desk, shared brief words with Alex, observed everything. Each time she saw him, Caitlin felt her anxiety spike. Alex had become more protective, sometimes to the point of frustration. He started suggesting they meet outside the gym, away from prying eyes, in empty parking lots or quiet corners of nearby parks. The secrecy was exhilarating but exhausting. One afternoon, after a particularly grueling session, Alex pulled Caitlin aside to a storage room. Inside, the air was cool and dim. Alex closed the door, his hands trembling slightly as he cupped her face, searching her eyes for reassurance. "I wish I could just take you away from all this," he whispered, pressing his forehead to hers. "No secrets, just us." Caitlin closed her eyes as Alex's hand slid down to her waist, pulling her closer. His lips grazed her cheek, then found hers. The kiss was slow, urgent, heavy with unspoken longing. She wrapped her arms around him, her body melting against his. His fingers slipped under the edge of her shirt, tracing the delicate line of her lace bra. His palms hot against her bare skin. Their breaths mingled in the quiet, the world narrowing to the heat and pressure of their bodies pressed together. For a few stolen minutes, the only thing that mattered was their touch, their hunger. But even as she lost herself in his arms, reality snapped back. A sound in the hallway made them freeze. Alex stepped away, adjusting his shirt. Caitlin smoothed her hair, her cheeks burning. There was never enough time, never enough safety. Every encounter was haunted by the fear of being discovered. The situation finally boiled over one rainy evening. Caitlin arrived home to find John sitting at the dining room table, her phone in front of him. He looked up, his eyes dark with hurt. "We need to talk," he said quietly. Caitlin's stomach dropped. She sat down, her hands trembling. "I saw your messages," John began. "At first, I thought you were just friends with this guy. But then I saw the photos, the way you talked to him. Caitlin, what is going on?" For a moment, Caitlin could barely breathe. The room seemed to shrink, the weight of her lies pressing down on her. "It started with the gym," she said finally, her voice barely more than a whisper. "I just wanted to feel good about myself. And then Alex noticed me. I did not mean for it to happen." John's face twisted with emotion. "Did not mean for what to happen? Caitlin, are you in love with him?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I do not know. Maybe I just wanted to feel alive. Wanted to feel noticed." John shook his head, pain flickering across his face. "I thought we were happy." "We are," Caitlin insisted, her voice breaking. "I still love you, John." But I lost myself for a while. He was silent for a long moment. "If you want to work through this, you have to end it. No more secrets, no more lies. I cannot live like this." Caitlin nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I will, I promise." That night, she lay awake beside John, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment with Alex. Every stolen touch, every lie she had told. She had wanted excitement, adventure, passion. But now it all felt tangled and messy, and she wondered if she had risked too much for a fantasy. The next day at the gym, the tension was unbearable. Jessica cornered her in the locker room, her voice low and sharp. "People are talking, Caitlin. It is not fair to anyone, least of all yourself. You have to decide what you want." Caitlin felt trapped, unsure of whom to trust. Michael watched her from across the gym, his expression unreadable. Emma tried to be supportive, but even she seemed to be holding something back. Finally, that evening, Caitlin met Alex for what she knew would be their last private conversation. They sat together in Alex's car in the quiet, shadowed parking lot. The air was thick with everything they could not say. Alex reached for her hand, his thumb stroking her knuckles. "I do not want to let you go," he said softly. "But I do not want to hurt you either." Caitlin turned to him, her eyes full of unshed tears. "This is tearing me apart. I cannot keep living like this, hurting people I love." He leaned in, brushing his lips against hers one last time. The kiss was bittersweet, full of longing and regret. Alex's hands framed her face, his touch gentle, memorizing her. For a moment, Caitlin let herself feel everything. The passion, the sadness, the love she had tried to deny. When they finally parted, she knew it was over. She left the car, stepping into the night, feeling raw and exposed, but strangely free. The conflict that had consumed her for so long was finally out in the open. Now all that was left was the truth, and whatever consequences it would bring. The rain had finally cleared. Caitlin's mind felt as if it too was caught somewhere between storm and sunlight. For days after her final meeting with Alex, she moved through life as if underwater, each step slow and heavy. She kept her promise. She cut contact with Alex, deleted his number, erased the messages, let her wounds bleed in private. But at home, the air was still tense. John was polite, attentive, but there was a space between them, filled with things left unsaid. Caitlin returned to the gym, but everything had changed. Alex was gone. She heard from Stephanie that he had left for another city, a job offer he could not refuse. His absence left a hollow ache she was not ready to admit, but it also gave her room to breathe. Jessica was oddly cheerful now, as if a shadow had lifted. Emma, meanwhile, kept her distance. Her glances quick, her smiles forced. Michael was always there, silent and watchful, sometimes offering a quiet nod, sometimes vanishing before Caitlin could even approach. The questions that had plagued her for weeks would not leave her alone. Who had sent the messages? Who had been watching? Why? Caitlin could not rest until she knew the truth. One evening, after a quiet workout, she found Emma in the stretching room, alone, and scrolling through her phone. Caitlin shut the door behind her, nerves fluttering in her stomach. "Emma, I need you to be honest with me," she said. "Are you the one who's been sending me those messages?" Emma's head snapped up. For a long moment she simply stared, then set her phone aside with a sigh. "Caitlin," Emma began, her voice thick with guilt. "I did it because I care. I saw what was happening. I thought, if you realized someone was watching, you'd stop before you got hurt. I did not mean to scare you. I wanted to protect you." Caitlin let the words settle. Relief and anger and understanding warred inside her. "Why not just tell me? Why the games?" Emma shrugged. Her cheeks flushed. "Would you have listened? You were so caught up. I was afraid you would shut me out." Caitlin nodded, the tension draining from her body. "I get it, but it was my mistake to make." There was silence between them, a strange sense of peace settling. "I'm sorry," Emma said quietly. "I really am." Caitlin offered a small smile. "Thank you for caring. Just next time, trust me enough to be honest." The mystery unraveled. Caitlin felt lighter. She left the stretching room and walked straight into Michael, who was heading out. He smiled faintly, an understanding look in his blue eyes. "Everything all right?" he asked. She nodded. "It will be." When Caitlin got home, she found John waiting in the kitchen. He looked tired, his hair messy, but there was something soft in his expression. "Do you want to talk?" he asked. She sat beside him at the table, gathering her courage. "John, I'm sorry for everything. I should have come to you, told you how I felt. I lost myself for a while. I let things go too far." He listened, his hands folded on the table. "I've been angry," he admitted, "but I've also been thinking. We both let things get stale. I should have noticed sooner that you needed more." He reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "I want to try again, but I need to know you want this too." Caitlin nodded, tears stinging her eyes. "I do. I want us. I want to find a way back." There were no promises, no grand declarations, but something in the quiet honesty of that moment felt more powerful than all the secrets and excitement of the last few months. Some days later, Caitlin returned to the gym for her first solo workout in weeks. The energy felt different. A fresh start, free from secrets. She wore new leggings, deep emerald green, with a soft grey top. Her body, firmer and stronger, moved with a confidence she had not felt in years. She caught her reflection in the mirror and saw a woman who had been through the fire, but who was still standing, still growing, still beautiful. As she finished her routine, Emma waved from the other side of the room. A real smile this time, hesitant but genuine. Jessica greeted her at the desk with a light joke. Even Michael gave a small wave as he left. The shadows had lifted. Life was not perfect, but it was real. In the locker room, Caitlin took a quiet moment to appreciate herself. She ran her hands over her toned arms, her waist, her hips. She remembered every moment. The excitement, the danger, the longing, the pain. She remembered Alex, his hands, his voice, the lessons and the heartbreak. She remembered John, the comfort and the home she had almost thrown away. And for the first time in a long while, Caitlin smiled. A real, unguarded smile. She had not needed to run away, or become someone else, or live in a dream. The woman she was, strong, flawed, passionate, was enough. That night, she and John cooked dinner together, laughing over burnt vegetables, talking about nothing and everything. Later, as they curled up on the couch, John brushed a strand of hair from her face and kissed her forehead. There was still a distance between them, but it was smaller now. A space that could be bridged, one day at a time. Caitlin felt his arms around her, his body warm and safe. There was no drama left, no secrets, just the quiet, steady heartbeat of a new beginning. She knew that life would never be as simple as it was before. There would always be temptations, doubts, and days when routine felt suffocating. But there would also be honesty, forgiveness, and the choice to keep moving forward. And sometimes, she thought, that was more than enough.